Hello everybody, Darren Cross here. We are in Module 5 and this is the lecture video for Module 5. In this module we are going over chapters 9 and 10, and those chapters relate to communication and power, the sources and contingencies of power. And so obviously these topics are very relevant to what we're talking about in organizational behavior. If you go back to the very beginning, what we're after here is trying to understand how people operate as individuals, in teams and groups, and as an organization. And so what we're after here is trying to pick up some information that can help us predict and influence and control these organizational effectiveness outcomes, and to deal with those 5 organizational behaviors, OB behaviors that we talked about earlier in the course. And so obviously communication is a huge part of that. So there's nothing real complicated about the way that these authors tackle the concept of communication. It's the same that you've always learned in all of the classes that you've taken. Whether it's a sender or receiver, you have an encoded message and a decoded message, and of course there are some interferences along the way that come in the form of, maybe not understanding each other, or the noise that just happens, or different cultures and things like that. So that in and of itself is not really that complicated or complex. When we go to the next chapter and we talk about power, the conversation is really kind of the same as well, but they kind of delve in a little bit more deeply, and I think that it's worthy of discussion here. And so in the book, the authors do talk about the sources of power that we're used to, right? We have legitimate power, coercive power, reward power. I'm winging it here, so forgive me. We have referent power, and what's the other one? I can't remember what the other one is, but all of those are the ones that we're used to, right? So what we also talk about is the fact that there are contingencies of power, and there's this mechanism by which power actually works. And so how that works is that when someone is said to have power over someone else, they actually are seen or perceived to control some type of resource that the other person feels is valuable. It could be information. It could be, if you're reward power, if you have reward power, then you have the power to control some type of reward. It could be, it's expert power. That's the 5th one. It could be that someone has some expert knowledge, and because of that, they feel like someone feels like they have influence over the situation, or maybe they legitimately can control your destiny. But the power is mitigated or attenuated when that person ceases to believe or perceive that the other person somehow has control over a resource that they find valuable, or if they don't find that resource valuable anymore. So this kind of brings into play the concept of the expectancy theory as well. So if you remember the link to whether or not I think you can actually provide that. This is a motivational theory, by the way. Whether or not I think that you can actually provide that reward, and then whether that reward means something to me. So those things come into play as well, and these kind of all interact. So that kind of takes the conversation a little bit more deeply than just the 5 sources of power. But I think that you're going to delve in a little bit more in the discussion boards. But I think that's all we need to talk about now. However, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Good luck, everybody.